Hey, and returning to the Ron Hall Show today for the second time is author and film producer, formerly known as Notorious Daylight on the streets of New York City. Now he's my friend and film producer, Dimas Salaberrios, also known as Pastor Dimas. Welcome to the show, Dimas.
Ron, it's an honor to be with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, we are excited today because Dimas asked me to be an executive producer on his new film about 3 years ago now, and we've been working on this film for 3 years, but we are here to talk about it today because we are about to have the premiere in Los Angeles next week. And so it's an exciting film we want you to know about. It's called Chicago, America's Hidden War.
Deadly gun violence is surging in Chicago once again. Police say at least 57 people were shot since Friday evening during one of the most violent weekends on record. At least 11 were killed.
People are being shot left and right. It's horrible carnage. Chicago is like a war zone. Afghanistan is not like what's happening in Chicago.
I seen people get killed in front of my face, and what am I supposed to do? Go hide in the closet? I don't think so.
Chicago is one of the most divided places. I believe the church helps to lead a lot of that.
When I was working tech in the city, we dealt with the most dangerous people on the street, and they feared us.
They don't solve murders on the south side of Chicago, not where I'm from.
And this is sad, man. 11-year-old is shot.
Right.
And a 17-year-old is shot in the face and dead.
There were so many bullet holes. And she was bleeding from everywhere.
There's just so much heaviness. It's just hard.
Next thing you do is take his hands out of the pockets, boom, 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 boom. That's a little girl hit, little kid hit. But y'all ain't, you feel me? It's so real, it's so, you go, life could be gone like that.
These big old jokers running around who shooters, you gotta take them snipper pliers, cut their shooting fingers off.
Father God, I just pray in the name of Jesus that you would bring peace to this city, God.
But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
And incidentally, Dimas, I have to congratulate him because he made the Oscar list here for the long list for documentary films this year. I'm really, I was proud to be a part of that project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now you can forever say you're an Oscar-listed executive producer. So.
Well, I know a friend that's an Oscar. You did most of the work on this. I didn't do a lot of work, but it was fun working on it with you. But anyway, Hal, let's go back to the genesis here of America's Hidden War, Chicago. So.
You know, it all connects back to my book Street God, and I was published by Tyndale Publications, and I remember visiting down in the Wheaton area, the outskirts of Chicago, and then people started to tell me about the shootings, and I was at Wheaton Bible Church, and I just couldn't believe what was going on when they told me more people were killed in Chicago than Afghanistan in the Iraqi war, American casualties combined. So then I started to challenge them, and I said, well, what are you guys doing, to help out? And they were like, we're still, we haven't done a lot. And I said, well, where do you guys mostly work as churchgoers? And they were like, in Chicago. And I learned from Tim Keller that in Christianity and our faith, we have to look at cities differently. We don't want to look at the city as to just take away from the city, like go there, work, but leave it, but we have to bless the city. So if you're benefiting from the city, then we should all work to make the city better. even though you live on the outskirts.
Yeah, well, you know, Chicago is a very, very beautiful city.
It is.
And
it is.
But most people really don't know about this part of Chicago. Where is this part of Chicago?
It's particularly like the south side and the west sides of Chicago. So when you look at downtown, that's a whole nother world than the urban areas and centers outside of there is Chicago. There's a food desert there. There's barely places to purchase food. Many people have to travel long miles. So all this kind of stuff was going on. But what was exciting was they stepped up. Wheaton Bible Church stepped up and formed a group and said, you're absolutely right. Let's figure out how to bless the city. And we went down there, held a prayer meeting, and from that prayer meeting, it was featured on the Chicago Sun-Times. And then we started mobilizing pastors together. We started going out there, and it was a 3-year process to do this event called Jesus Summer, which is the center of the film. And when you watch the film, you'll see Ron, and you'll see his incredible wife, Beth, going out there and ministering and sharing the love of Jesus, and that was just absolutely incredible. Yeah.
It was. Well, I know that it was a little bit surprising, too, because you had met with hundreds of pastors before and in preparation for our march through this neighborhood to take it back, which incidentally was a neighborhood that Michelle Obama grew up in.
Yes.
And in fact, one of the most dangerous projects in all of that part of Chicago.
Yeah.
And so as we were preparing the march for that, tell us a little bit about how we prepared for the march and what actually happened.
Yeah, so we got a phone call that they wanted to do this march, a human cross over all of going through the middle of Chicago. And I've done enough events in my life that I personally knew it was extremely ambitious to go so many miles. Like they wanted to go miles and miles. And on that day it rained, and a lot of pastors did show up, but a lot of their people didn't show up. And so it was a very scattered, as I would say, human cross, but a lot of prayers did go up, and we were grateful for their work and effort. And like I said, so to make a long story short, the march didn't go so well, okay? There were not the numbers that they thought of, upwards of 100,000 or more. And you know, that could be a presage as to why it's so bad in Chicago. But, you know, we know God hears the prayers of the righteous. So that was an event I didn't throw, but we showed up anticipating a lot more than what turned out. And, you know, even this morning, I was praying with some friends about church unity. And I think, you know, what reminds me is Ephesians chapter 4, where it says, endeavor to keep the unity. And when you break down that word in the Greek, what it means to strain every nerve. And what that tells us is to bring a lot of people together, to get the church to work together. It's going to be a difficult task, and it will strain your nerves. Yeah.
Well, Chicago, America's Hidden War is the name of the film. It opens May the 12th in theaters across America.
Yes.
So why is it called America's Hidden War?
You know, what I love is we have a gentleman that's featured in our film named Pastor Corey Brooks, and he's a Southern Baptist minister. And he says in the beginning of the movie, to call it Chicago's Hidden War, America's Hidden War, is appropriate because there's so many people that wake up in Chicago that will not see the next day. I mean, over 77,000. I want you to think of that number. 77,000 people have been shot in Chicago over the same time frame of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And for that to be happening in America is sad, and it's hurtful. And I think as Christians and as believers and whether you're not a believer, I mean, there's something that we should all do. You know, like, I think like part of the film is we want to establish the mantra. It's not just Chicago's hidden war, but this is our war.
Yeah.
This is Dallas's war. This is New York City's war. This is LA's war, you know, because this is bigger than what that city can handle. And you know, Chicago's known for a lot of corruption, according to police chief. So if you're listening from Chicago, don't jump over me. Your police chief said there's a lot of corruption in the city. More people that work in government have gone to jail in Chicago than any other city. It was, you know, heavy. Many of you know about the Valentine Day shooting of Al Capone, and it's a city that's been, you know, heavily mob controlled for longer than I've been alive, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I know that one of the important features of the film is that you felt called to have a 40-day hunger strike.
Yes.
Throughout the whole filming of this.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you were called to have a hunger strike, what it's like to be on a hunger strike.
You know.
And why?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on every media outlet, major outlet on television that you can come up with, from ABC, NBC, Fox. I mean, you name it, across the whole spectrum.
And that's for for you being a first responder.
Yeah.
To mass shootings.
Yeah.
and bombings and anything that really affects a large number of people.
Yeah.
You try to show up first to be a peacemaker.
Yeah.
In fact, I've heard people refer to you as the Martin Luther King of our generation, someone who's all about peace and unity. So
yeah,
that's,
well, we're humbled by that title. And yeah, we even came down here when the police was killed
in Dallas.
Yeah, of that shooting. We were first responders to that, joining in with my Dallas family. And, you know, I just realized that Chicago wasn't being covered. And it's always covered in little spurts, but no one really knows what's going on. And when I spoke to most of my friends in media, they shared that it's just too hard to really deal with it on a regular basis. So I just tried to use the power that I have. I have control of this vessel and this body. And my hope was, if I didn't eat and would pretty much starve myself by just drinking water for a long block of time and dropping in weight, that it would move the hearts of people to cover the war and cover what was going on. And so that was my strategy. If I would have had my way, I probably would have bought out a stadium or something like that and did some other things. But, you know, it just shows that we all can do something. And that's one thing I knew I was in control of and could call the shots and do my part of fasting.
Well, I was
and
with
praying.
you for much of that, and I saw the effects that it had on your body of not eating for 40 days. I was there the day you started it, and I was there the day you gloriously ended it.
Yes. It was a fun ending.
Well, it was, but it was a struggle.
It was.
A struggle for 40 days to get there. And
35 pounds dropped off me, and it all tried to come back, but we didn't let it all. Yes.
Well, you got some long legs there.
Here you go. That helps.
Good. But what's it like? I know what it's like, but tell our listeners what it's like to be walking the streets of the most dangerous blocks in Chicago, where people are just randomly shot for seemingly no reason. And
yeah, what you will see on May 12th is a glimpse of what me and Ron went through. I mean, at one point we had to throw on a bulletproof vest. Sorry, Ron, I think they were all handed out that day. Ron's like, "What? You had a vest on?" You know.
Well, Beth and I were the only two that didn't have vests on.
Didn't have a vest. You know, it's true. It's true. It's very fearful. You know, you can feel the darkness of the war. You can see, you know, honestly, we wore a lot of white shirts so that when we would be approaching that that people could see from far away that we weren't shooters, because that's what most people thought. So you would see guys standing there, you know, with their hands on their weapon, ready for whoever. You know, you would see people fearful. You'd meet people on the street, like we met that girl. I just got shot. You know, my boyfriend shot me a few days earlier. Now, you know, he tried to kill me and the baby, but the baby survived, and I did too. You know, we walked somewhere. You saw a 15-year-old. I got shot. You know, with a bag coming out of his side. We get phone calls every day of someone that was shot, someone that was killed. You know, the plan of the hunger strike was if we had 5 days with no homicide, that we'd be able to eat. We never got 5 days.
Yeah.
You know, people are dying
Well,
daily.
I know it started off, you were going to say, let's go 1 week with no shooting, and then you saw, well, after the first week, maybe we'll lower it to 5.
To 5 days. Give us 5 days. We couldn't even get that. We got close. We had 3 days, and then, you know, the homicides ticked back up.
Being there on the street and talking to these kids that are shooting each other and killing each other, why are they doing that? I mean, and
it's, you know, the genesis of it was, if many of you remember this television show called Good Times, it was an old television show, I think in the 70s, and it still lasted the early 80s. It was about a project called Cabrini Green. And they wanted to get rid of the projects because it was downtown. And D.L. Moody, the history of this is D.L. Moody, where Moody Institute is, the right side going, I don't know if it was east or west, but one section of it was the white community, and the other section was the black community where this project was. And they decided, people of the Daley family, who are the ongoing mayors for many, many years, that have now been proven their association to the mob, wanted to get rid of the African Americans downtown. So they blew up the projects. First, they just let it decay, let the elevators go broken. They let the people suffer for many years. And that internal frustration of having to walk up 30 flights of stairs, elevators not working, toilets not working, everything breaking down, that started a lot of the genesis of the violence. And through that violence, then they blew it up and just spread everybody across Chicago land. So then the violence continued, but now it was happening in pockets all over the city. And those gang leaders were recruiting more people to their gangs. And it's just a long history of, you killed my father, you killed my cousin, you killed my nephew. And that's why I believe the church is the only answer, because we can help people through the whole issue of forgiveness better than any institution or counseling or psychology could ever do. And until forgiveness takes place, that they can forgive the sins of people in their past, the war will continue on.
Well, I know the Daleys are not in charge of Chicago as far as being the mayors anymore, and they've had new leaders for a number of years. But it doesn't seem like the city itself is taking a real proactive move to do anything about this down there. Just, I mean, what we saw, I think they need to declare martial law almost to go in and start reclaiming all these weapons and reclaiming these blocks that nobody will walk into, because, you know, they shoot you just because you crossed into their block. This is not about drug wars a lot of times. This is just territorial wars there.
It's a very hard situation to look at. I will say the Daleys are still somewhat in control.
Are they really? Yeah, okay.
Even though they don't carry official titles, they carry a lot of skin in the game. And but what you're saying is right. I mean, not a lot is done. The churches are doing a whole lot, but they stole the police chief from Dallas. So now your police chief is there. He's now has the title of superintendent. And it's a tough city to help. So I really don't know what it would take, but I can say this: the only person that really made significant change in Chicago on a law enforcement side was Elliot Ness.
Oh, really?
And
that
what
goes back to the days of Al Capone. Yes.
And what they said was Elliot Ness was the only man that couldn't be bought. So as is stated in our movie, they need a lot of brave men that will go out there, and women that will go out there and begin to tackle this issue. And the churches are activated now. They're getting out there and they are starting to fight the war. They're more unified now than they've ever been. And I think Jesus Summer had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
And it definitely added a help and assistance to it. But, you know, I think, like I say in the movie, it's bigger than Chicago. And just as churches around the nation send people to Guatemala and send people to these things, we need to send missionary groups to these churches in Chicago to give them a helping hand, to maybe build things like you know, recreation areas on their church grounds, different ways to catch this next generation while they're still young, so that they don't fall prey to what their fathers and forefathers have done.
And I think that's good that you said that, but I know the movie is called Chicago, and when I tell people about it, they say, why should we be concerned about Chicago and America's hidden war? What does that have to do with us in our city? But so why is it important for people to go see this who don't live in Chicago?
Well, I'll start with this. I'm from New York, and I'm not from Chicago. But when I heard that over 10,000 people were killed,
many kids.
Many
just
women
kids.
And kids
And babies.
And babies. I couldn't just show apathy about it. Like, so what? That's not my city. I live somewhere else. Who cares? I think, you know, the media of the world has desensitized us and have given a lot of people a stony heart, to be quite honest. And it's easy just to point the finger and say, well, they're doing this to themselves. That's a very short-sighted approach, and I'd strongly encourage you, if you have those thoughts, to go to the theaters on May 12th and see the movie Chicago, America's Hidden War. And I guarantee it will move you from apathy into empathy. And that's real important, because if that happened, and I mean, you know, a cop got killed in Dallas. I didn't just say, well, that's not New York.
Yeah.
You know, we have to really, at Christians, they say in the Bible, in the scriptures, the world will know that we're Jesus' disciples by our love one towards another. Yeah. And it's really key that we change this narrative. I think sometimes the church is becoming, you know, too committed to our political groups rather than to Christ and being like Jesus. And I think that's more important. It's, you know, whether you're a registered Republican or Democrat or independent, who cares? Yeah. People are dying. Yeah. And if we could do something to stop somebody's from killing another person, I can't turn a blind eye to that. If you can, you know, you take that up between you and your Lord. But I'm telling you, Jesus is concerned about this place. Yeah. And I think we should too.
You know, I know that before we actually went onto the set of the streets and into the hood and into these projects, that we had really, really high hopes for a great harvest of new believers, people that would turn their lives over to Christ, people that would want to change their ways. And we didn't have all the success that we thought we would, but I know what we did, we planted seeds. And now I guess we need people to go in and to water these seeds and tend these seeds as they grow, because I saw a hunger there that just needs to be continued to foster
Yeah, when you see the film Chicago, America's Hidden War that hits the theaters on May 12th, there was great success. I mean, we had guns being turned in.
We did, yeah.
And we had drug dealers being baptized and coming to Christ. Some of the shooters that are in our movie are now attending churches and are working. So the homicides dropped by 20%.
Yeah.
So this is a film where you really see the church getting busy. That is great results. I think what we would hope is, just a flat out miracle where all the shootings completely stop and everything is completely changed. But as we saw on the ground, it's more complicated than that. I mean, Chicago closed 50 schools in these poor neighborhoods where now people have to travel through all these gang territories to get to school, and that increased the homicides. So there's a lot of structural issues that add fuel to the fire.
It broke my heart to see these kids on the streets that are being groomed, and not because they want to be groomed. I mean, they're trying to resist being groomed to be a shooter and to be in these gangs. And I mean, but they have no hope. I mean, we saw them picking up clothes out of the streets that have been thrown away and taking it back to their families. It's this is, when you hear about all of these missionaries, like you're saying, going to all these foreign countries, this is like a foreign country. One of the most dangerous foreign countries in the world is those certain blocks there in Chicago, that if we can transform those, and through the help of this Chicago, America's Hidden War, it will be one of the most successful and important movies of all time.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's designed to stir up believers to fight this war, to stir up believers to get involved. I mean, right now we're in Dallas. Dallas is one of the most powerful cities when it comes to faith, because Dallas funds ministries across the world.
Yeah.
I mean, and our prayers that generosity is passed down to the next generation. Otherwise, Christianity will really struggle. Yeah. And so we're grateful to be in Dallas, and my prayers is that it would stir up people's hearts in this city and in cities like New York and cities like Los Angeles. And I think these three cities alone will be able to change the narrative if we get engaged and get involved.
So that brings up the great question here as we come to the end of our interview. Our call to action. What can our viewers do to help?
I think one thing is if you go to our website, chicagoshiddenwar.com, chicagoshiddenwar.com, there are ways to get involved with doing a masterclass. There's ways that you can share your skills with young people in Chicago. We have the technology to do that today. There are after-school programs that people can donate to, that we're going to try to fund and empower ministries that run after-school programs very successfully so that they can be supported. We have ministries down there that drive to the scene, minister to victims. There's also, you can sponsor a theater in Chicago.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, you can go to chicagoamericashiddenwar.com, hit the donate button. If you put in $250, that's earmarked for a theater. That amount is for theaters only. And so if you put that in, that's helpful. You want to sponsor theaters here in Dallas, bring the Men of Nehemiah, or, different ministries here that do great urban work. How powerful would it be for the Men of Nehemiah, go down there and minister? Just for example, look at Ron. I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed this. Ron Hall is white, and he was on the streets. He was on the streets of Chicago, ministering effectively. His wife is a model, She still looks like a model. She was on the streets of Chicago, ministering effectively. We had a young lady named Bonnie Kate that was shot at the Aurora shooting in Colorado. at the Batman movie theater. She was with a cane walking through Chicago. She's a flower child. Like, she has flowers in her hair and wears like this cool hippie style. And she was coming up to these hustlers saying, the love of Jesus and God loves you, and praying for them and ministering to them. I was one of those shooters, Ron. You know, I didn't kill anybody, thank God, because I just couldn't aim well. And I thank God for that. You know, otherwise I'd probably be in jail doing life. But in New York City, it was different. It was about drugs and money and territory. Out there, it's hate, it's revenge, it's anger, and those are things that can be addressed. And I wish I could say every church out there is on the ground and addressing them, but the truth is they're not. So we need bold people that believe in Jesus, just like missionaries used to go out, you know, and they would go with their coffins out into the mission field. Why? Because they knew there was a chance that they wouldn't make it back. Christianity today has become too soft. And many of you that are watching this, honestly, you know you're soft. And I want to challenge you to pick up your mantle and come to the mission field and minister for Christ, like the way many people did. That we clap our hands to. We clap our hands to a John Wesley or a William Tyndale, or we clap our hands to a D.L. Moody, a Billy Sunday, or a Billy Graham, and all these guys. They were just like me and you. Don't put them on a pedestal. Many of them just made up their mind as, I'm going to go out and do the work for you, Jesus, however I can, and use me if you will. And, you know, I'm not telling you to drop everything and move, but God uses vessels like us. Ron, you came back alive. I came back alive. Beth came back alive. No one on our team died. And we all ministered Jesus to people. And many of those people today are in Christ. So let's pull up our bootstraps. Let's throw on our cowboy hat. And let's get busy and let's go do it.
Yes, and on May the 12th, go to your local theaters and demand, if it's not showing in your theater, demand that they show Chicago, America's Hidden War.
Absolutely.
It is a great film. I was an Oscar shortlist film, and I was privileged to be an executive producer on that with the producer and the star of the show.
And I will say, Ron is being humble. Ron worked hard on this movie with us. Ron flew down, which he did more than a lot of other people. He's been on all the calls, all the meetings, reaching out to people for help. Ron, I want to tell you, you're an excellent executive producer. Excellent, okay? And I just want people to know that. And I'd run with you on another film or whatever. You are excellent. And we need to diversify. And Beth needs to be on the next film too, because she's an excellent producer. You know, and we got to do that. We got to start bringing our women in. You know, get them involved.
She's an excellent producer of the Ron Hall show here.
Oh,
so, right.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, we need more women involved in media. I'm for that. We need more women in all the work that we do, and diversity is important, and we're going to be about that.
And I know that you are the busiest man that I know anywhere. So I thank you for taking the time to be here in Dallas, to preview the film to a lot of pastors yesterday, to be on the Ron Hall show this morning. And as you're getting ready to head back to New York City, I just have to tell you and all of our listeners, Vaya con Dios, my friends. It's been a pleasure being with you on the show.
Thank you.